Hello faithful viewers and welcome back to another Transformers review. This time we're looking at the Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Cyberverse Universe Slipstream. My god, why do these titles have to be such mouthfuls? Here is Slipstream from a cartoon which I have not watched. I gave up with it. I did try to watch Cyberverse. Season 1 of Cyberverse. I got about 10 episodes in and gave up. But hey, apparently it's better than Earthspark currently is. I've heard some shocking things about that. Anyway, Slipstream here. She is a remold and repaint, or deco if you like, if you're going to be that guy in the comments, of Windblade. And this seems to be a common thing at the minute, where Slipstream, rather than getting her own mould, seems to just be a variant of Windblade, which kind of does the character a little bit of a disservice, because I believe she predates Windblade. Slipstream originated from Transformers Animated, where she was technically a clone of Starscream, of which personality aspect we will never know. I got this figure because I wanted to experience this specific mould, because I have the original Windblade, and rather than getting another Windblade, I wanted to get Slipstream as a way of just, comparing and contrasting all of this. So Slipstream turns into a purple and turquoise jet of some kind. I don't know if it's meant to be an Earth jet or if it's meant to be more Cybertronian in design. I can't honestly remember if Windblade debuted with an alt mode in Cyberverse or if she did scan it at some point. Anyway, it's a decent design. From some angles, it looks really good, like from front on. But when you look at it from the top or from a side angle, it does just look a bit too thick around this section. Now granted, it's not too terribly bad in person, but watching other reviews of this a while ago when it was first doing the rounds, it was a massive concern of mine that it was just a bit too beefy and not very aerodynamic. And I do kind of still stand by that, especially when comparing it to the original figure, which is a lot more streamlined than this is. However, overall, this new figure is a better jet mode than the original. It just is filled in everywhere. Now, granted, you flip it around and what becomes what, this is pathetic. This really is, and it's just a problem with the Windblade molds in general. They don't do enough to hide the robot parts. Look at the arms, look at the torso, she's wearing a bucket over her head. Why can we not develop this character and anybody else that uses this mold in a way to hide all of this better? Overall though, for Slipstream, really nice colour palette. It does suit her quite a lot. You can rotate the blades, the air fan blades around, and that's kind of what this jet does, I suppose. You've got detachable null rays, and yeah, it's an okay jet mode, but I don't know, it's not perfect by any means. Coming on down to transformation then, let's get rid of these blasted weapons. We'll have fun trying to plug them in later, I bet. And then let's disconnect the hands from the pegs that they are just gripping. And then we will disconnect the wings, and then we're just going to fold them up and out of the way for clearance sake. For most of our attention is going to be on the leg area here, so let's split them, and then let's take these panels here and let's just untab them and just leave them hanging for a moment. We're going to come to the shins and disconnect them and hinge them down, and then we will fill in the gaps at the back of the legs with these panels and really push them in, otherwise they will be subject to just flip-flopping out of position. And I know some other reviewers have commented on this, and I think it's generally just a case of them not having pushed the panels in hard enough. That's all you need to do. There are some resistances with the pins being so tight in the backs of the knees, but you just need to really get that pushed down like I haven't done with this one. And it tabs in at the very bottom. There we go, now it's in. Really push, nice and secure, and now it's in. With the toes, flip them forward, and then the heels, which are formed from the back fins, want to just be rotating backward until they soft tab into place, and then take the other fins, push them back like that. Then you can rotate her 180 at the waist, and you can see the majority of her is done. We just want to be fanning the wings back out, pushing the landing gear back in, and then we can split the bucket, rotate it around and past her head. Then we can double hinge these bits in, double hinge that in, clip it all back together, slap it on the back, take the nose cone, fold it up, and then you can put the wings at whatever angle you see fit. I kind of like them like that. And that is Slipstream basically transformed into robot mode. The question is, where do you put these null rays? Because it's not as simple as you would think. I mean, it is simple, but it's not, I suppose, obvious, because with Seekers, you expect to be able to put them either in the bicep area or on the shoulders, which you can't really do because there's no moulding for it. So really, you've got, I would say, two primary options. The first one you can do, which that toy guy likes to do, is plug them into that port right there. The second thing is to plug them on the underside of the shoulders like that. Either way, you're kind of going to mimic the classic Seeker look. Now, this is quite difficult, really, to get pushed in. If you don't give it a little bit of welly, then the null rays will fall out. And I think it's because the shape of the pegs doesn't really match the shape of the port. It's like trying to fit a square in a circle hole. So, there you go. A square peg in a round hole, you know that saying. We'll do it like that for Mo. You'll see in the reverse transformation, I have them in a slightly different port, which I didn't actually realise when starting. And yeah, that's Slipstream fully transformed. And you know, as designs go, I've seen worse. It is, you know, very wind-bladey, obviously, but it is, you know, a decent choice of a mold to use for a feminine Seeker. It's very much a classic Starscream kind of profile that you've got going on here, or even animated Slipstream, you know, it's reminiscent. So if we zoom in and take a look at that noggin in greater detail, now some people have commented on this, and I personally can't comment because I've not watched Cyberverse all the way through, that this head sculpt does not match the way that she looks in that specific cartoon. And in fact, I don't think this general design matches how she looks from my brief recollection of what Starscream and the fellow Seekers actually looked like. This head sculpt, I don't know for certain, but the vibe I'm getting from it is War for Cybertron, because I believe Slipstream was in that as part of a DLC. But regardless, it's a decent Seeker head sculpt. It is feminine enough for her. You've got the classic black, you've got silver face, you've got red eyes, not light piping, it's all painted. We continue to pan down the body. You can see a faux cockpit slap bang in the centre of the chest with a nice purple Decepticon logo on there. Nice shades of purple, silver. You've got the turquoise shins there, which were the rear end of the jet. So nothing really new is revealed here, mainly because all of this is visible in vehicle mode, which again, Hasbro, find a different way to do this kind of character, please. Now, in terms of back kibble, this is interesting because she doesn't have a lot. But then again, the original figure didn't have a hell of a lot either. But Slipstream's here is arguably more beefy, and it all compacts into this box. Now, on the one hand, that's pretty clever, getting all of the jet kibble, aside from the wings obviously, stored inside a cube. I don't know if I particularly like it all that much, and I can't really compliment the engineering too heavily because, well, let's face it, there isn't a lot of jet to store in there because there isn't a lot of jet to begin with, because a lot of her robot mode is on profile. So, I don't know if I like this more than just having the cockpit and the nose cone dangling down as the original figure did. Now, whilst Windblade has a sword and a sheath, or at least the original had a sheath, I don't know about this specific version, Slipstream has null rays. And as we saw, we can either plug them in there, or we could plug them into the backs of the shoulders, which I'll demonstrate here. And if we just plug it in again, push really securely, and then, you know, you can have them dangling underneath there. But the disadvantage of doing that is that it really does get in the way of the wings and kind of prohibits the full range of motion that she's capable of doing. It doesn't look bad either. I mean, it's personal preference, really, how you want her. For the reverse transformation, you'll see both of them in that orientation. Again, I forgot that I had them like that, and I just assumed that they were like that. I mean, you can have them like that also for a more classic G1 look, if you want. So there's options. Again, if you have that, the wings go further back, but it doesn't look awful in the slightest. So credit where it's due. I suppose I have to award it points for versatility and creativity, but it is also a shame that they can't plug on to the usual part of the shoulder to give it a proper classic Seeker style. For articulation then, Slipstream's head is on a ball joint and she can rotate it 360 degrees. She can look up that far and down that far. At the shoulders, depending on where you have these null rays, she can move her arm out that far. She can lift it up and rotate it up that far, but again, the wings do get in the way. She has a bicep rotation of 360 degrees and a just under 90 degree bend at the elbow. The wrists can also rotate 360 degrees. At the waist, she is capable of 360 degree rotation. You've got an impressive forward kick, you've got an impressive back kick, and you've got a beautiful spread. There is also rotation and the thigh, thanks to the mushroom assembly that you can see there. At the knee, there is a 90 degree bend, and in terms of the toes and the heels and the general foot articulation, you've got good pivot there, and you've got wiggle waggle up and down for the toes, and then the heels are kind of the fins there, so they can rotate forward and backward. Overall articulation is pretty darn good. You know, it's what you would expect from a modern figure. Cannot knock it in the slightest for that. God damn it. For size comparisons then, here is our Legacy United Slipstream with the original Thrilling 30 Windblade. We will compare these two in greater detail in a future or versus new down the line. But from the get-go, they look decent together. You can see the evolution of the designs. Make up your own minds now as to which one you prefer. I will give my take at a later date. Here is our Legacy Slipstream with our classic Skywarp. Here is Legacy Slipstream with the 2008 Titanium Man. And then here she is with Far From Home Mysterio. To transform Slipstream into vehicle mode, we are going to first remove her null rays from her wings, which sometimes plug in really securely and sometimes really don't. And as a matter of fact, it appears that I have them behind her shoulders. That explains why they are stuck in there very firmly. Remember, I filmed this bit first, but you're not seeing it first. Right, let's see. We are going to bring the wings horizontally like that, and then we're going to come to the back and flip that bit down. We're going to start to bring this forward, then we are going to split this big old package right here and extend either side of the nose cone, and then rotating it up and over her head. And then we can clip all of that together, and that's most of the jet already done, believe it or not. Then we're going to leave her arms just hanging at the sides. We will rotate her 180 at the waist, and then the rest of the transformation really is focused on the legs. So I'm going to flip the toes down like that, and the heels I want to be flipping out and around like that, and they will become the back fin of the jet. There we go, a little bit stiff because they click very securely into place. And then go to rip her leg off. That's the first time that's happened. You can see that it kind of attaches via a circular kind of friction clip thing there, so it's easily reattachable. Hinge all of the shin area once you disconnect it up and like that. That's very much like the original Windblade figure, because of course there are similarities between the two designs, which we will show off in an old versus new later down the line. Then we do need to somehow connect these legs together. There are tabs on the underside. I'm just not doing it properly right this moment. Maybe because I've not quite got them clipped enough. I'm not entirely sure. We'll come back to it once I have a moment to figure it out. Let's bring these panels on here, which are kind of, I suppose, gap fillers in a way. They are going to come and they are going to clip right there, nice and securely. I'm going to bring these side fins out like that, and then let's just try and see what's going on here. Maybe I have to really squeeze it. There we go, that's now in. Right. Let's bring the, well, don't bring the wings up just like that because you'll knock everything asunder. With the arms, so like the original Windblade, the hands just clip round posts, and in the case of Slipstream here, they just want to be clipping and holding on, roughly, onto there. There we go, that's one. And the other is right there. And then you just need to get the wings into place. They don't particularly tab in, I don't think. But you can see there is a section there for that circular port just to sort of slot into... Does it tab in? Yeah, there's kind of a notch on the shin area there, which that kind of guides itself into. But I think that is really kind of it. I just had to wriggle it a little bit more. Let's finish this off by tabbing in the null rays into the furthest port on the wings. And then the very, very, very last thing, flip out the landing gear from the front of the jet, plonk it down, and there you go. So there we go, let's bring now a look at the Legacy United Slipstream. Overall, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's amazing, I would say it's quite basic of a Transformer. Its engineering is fine, articulation's fine, but in terms of just general posability, you're actually going to struggle to pull off a lot of dynamic poses with her. Now, the null rays, I also should mention there are other ports there, and then there are some further down on the forearms. You can hold the guns as well, and then, you know, for dynamicism, you can cheat a little bit by disconnecting the shins and moving them up a little bit, and then you can fake her raising her legs in a very high and once again dynamic poses. So that's the thing you can do. So there's a little bit of versatility to it in that regard, but you are kind of stuck a little bit, I think, generally because her head cannot raise any higher than that. So, you know, getting some good flying poses is a wee bit difficult. Overall, she's fine. I'm not sure she is good enough for me to maybe outright recommend her, though. Because, again, compared to a lot of other things that Legacy have come out with, she doesn't really hold a candle. You know, she looks cool, but I really wanted a bit more out of this figure personally, so I'm a little bit underwhelmed by her. She's fine. She isn't worth £25 or whatever deluxes go for nowadays. Get her when she's going for a discount. That's my recommendation. Don't get her at full price because she's not really worth that. Anyway, that's been Slipstream. Thank you everybody so much for stopping by and checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.